What's going on, guys? Ryan Nelson here, and if you saw my last video where that little stunt that I did in there and were curious of how risky that was, well, the good news is, due to the magic of cinema, there was no risk in that scene at all. Had I done that in one take? Yeah, absolutely. There was risk to it. I could have lost my legs, I could have died, I could not be sitting here talking to you right now. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, well, let's take a look at the clip.
You ready? All right. Not ready, not ready. Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it. No, I'm just kidding.
So had I tried to do that in one take, in one shot, that could have gone horribly wrong. But luckily, modern technology allows us to do these amazing things and do them very safely. So let's dive right in and I'll show you how I did that really safely with no risk to anybody. To start off with a clip, something like this, you're gonna wanna have the camera on a really solid tripod, something that isn't gonna move, isn't gonna be shifting around in the breeze, and just have that camera nice and stable. Next thing you wanna do is, if you're not in a controlled lighting environment, you wanna shoot the different clips as fast as possible. You don't wanna have any shift in lighting in your scene, otherwise it makes it harder to blend the shots. Now, these two clips were shot within about 5 minutes of each other, and I still did notice a bit of shifting in lighting. It was morning, so that sun was coming up pretty quick. All right, so you have your plan of what you wanna do. So the next step is you wanna figure out your timing, so you can do the different takes in the proper times and merge them together easily. So for this one, I knew it was gonna take a few seconds to pull that machine forward and have that trailer tilt forward onto the shoes, onto my feet. So that's why you see me going, okay, I'm ready, I'm ready. No, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. Okay, okay. And then I scream. And that's right when the trailer is gonna hit my feet. That's giving me time to blend that machine moving forward and that trailer tilting onto my feet when I scream. And that kind of gives me a little bit of flexibility there. So if you can build in flexibility in your action, that's even better. So once I had that part shot, I took those shoes off, left them exactly where I was standing, ran across the street, let my wife drive that machine forward, tilted that trailer down onto the shoes. So there we go. Now I've got her driving forward, trailer tilting, I've got a clip of me standing exactly where those shoes are. So now it's time to bring all that into Premiere. So once you have Premiere open and your two clips drug into your timeline, the next thing you want to do is find your point of action. So the points of action on this one are going to be when I start screaming. So I'm going to select that clip and hit M on the keyboard to place a marker on that action spot. And then the point of action in the other clip is when that trailer hits the shoes. So right about here. So I'm going to select that clip, hit M on the keyboard to make a marker there. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit V on the keyboard to select my first clip, drag the video up into V2 and the audio down into A2. Then I'm gonna drag it over and match up those two markers that I placed. All right, now I'm gonna switch workspaces so I can see this a little bit bigger here. So then I'm gonna go select my video layer in V2 and go to the point where the trailer hits the shoes. And then I'm going to come up here under my effects control. If that's not up, just go under Window, Effects Control, be right there. And then under opacity, I'm gonna select the pin tool. And then I'm gonna put one marker right down here, and then I'm gonna hit this little squiggly line. I don't know what it's called, but it's right above the tab to make this a full window. And then I'm gonna go and zoom in to 200%. And then I'm going to come in here and start putting in a rough mask. Now, a trick when you're masking is to go in and actually find different lines in the image to mask around, and that will help hide your mask a little bit. And sometimes that's not possible, so you can go ahead and feather it a little bit more. But for this one, there's some pretty good lines that I can follow to try to hide this mask. So once I get up to the shoes, basically just gonna go straight across the back of that trailer, and then up a little bit, and then straight up to the bottom of this tree. And then I'm just gonna go up kind of the edge of this tree. And that's gonna be where I mask out me not being in the shot. If you wanna make that smaller, just go 25%, something like that, to make it nice and small so you can get your mask plenty outside the image. All right, so you noticed here when I closed that mask off, it actually masked off the wrong side. So if you happen to do that, no worries to go back and do the mask. Just go back under here, under your mask, and check inverted. And that just inverts your mask. And I'm doing that all the time in Premiere and in Photoshop. I always go in and select inverse. On here, opacity, mask, inverse, easy breezy. So now that we have our rough mask in place here, I'm gonna go in and check out my 2 different layers here and see how they play with each other. Clearly I'm gonna need to fix this mask a little bit. So what you wanna do here is go back to your mask and click this little stopwatch up here to add a keyframe, and then select your mask so that's highlighted and you can see your mask. And then we're gonna go back over here to our video, enlarge that again so we can see this a little better. And I'm gonna have to go through the fence line here. So I'm gonna bring this mask out just a little bit. And then as I'm looking here while the trailer's still up, I'm gonna have to pull this mask back just a little bit. And then we're gonna go back and scroll through here and kind of see how that's gonna play out. So you see here as the trailer's starting to dip, I lean forward and then I'm cut off by the mask again. So what we're gonna have to do is go back up here and add another keyframe right there. And then I'm gonna come back over here, zoom in back to 200%, scroll down, select my mask again. So from here, I'm gonna go right to the action. I'm gonna have my timeline selected and then I'm gonna arrow over left and right on the arrows to go frame by frame. The trailer's starting to hit this mask, so I'm just gonna drag this one over a little bit, go back to my timeline, arrow over a couple of frames. Trailer's really close to the mask right there, but I think that'll be just fine. But also you can see up here where my knees are starting to come into the mask, so I'm gonna add a couple more points and then bring that mask out just a little bit. So you can see as we're scrolling that mask is moving a little bit. I'm gonna key forward just a little bit more. I'm gonna need to move these both out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and move these both out here, back down to the timeline. And if you accidentally deselect it, just go back, select that clip, hit your mask again. So just go through and fine tune this. You just wanna make sure everything is within the mask area, nothing is crossing that mask, making this very obvious that this has been a masked project. And if you're starting to see some masking lines in here, you're gonna wanna feather it out a little bit. And another trick to do is make it less of a straight line. So if you hold Option and then click a point, it'll give you these little arms that you can drag out and make it more of a curve. And to feather it out, just go under your mask, mask feather, bump that up to 25. And then deselect your mask, kind of see what that looks like. That blends a lot better. So we're gonna zoom back out here and kind of see how this is looking. Okay, driving forward, boom, boom, boom. There it is. Looking pretty good, right? And one thing to note when you're doing this, don't forget to layer sound. Sounds are gonna be a key component to your video to making that feel more real and making that scene more vibrant to the viewer. So, as in here, I'm talking on one track, then on the other track, there's the sound of the machine starting up, the machine pulling forward, the trailer hitting the shoes, me screaming on the other track. So just make sure all of that lines up and makes sense with each other. We're not just lining up and layering video here, we're lining up and layering sound as well. So on this particular one, as I was working through it, I actually decided to tighten it up a little bit. So I gave a little jump cut and then I did a punch in on the second shot. So I've got the first shot of my wife starting up the machine and I am saying, are you ready, are you ready? And then we punch in a little bit and she's already moving forward. So that's speeding up the action just a little bit. But I did that and I still wanted to add a little bit more to this. So I did an actual slow push in. And to do that, I just selected these 2 clips, right click, and I nested those, make that nest sequence. And all you do is go up here, add a keyframe on scale, and then go to the other end of the clip, add another keyframe on scale and give that maybe 110. So we're doing a slow push in. And then I want to make sure that both my keyframes are on the edges of those frames. So let's play this. Are you ready? Are you ready? She starts the machine. I cut in, she's already moving forward. It's pushing in just a little bit. And then you know what? I want to have that stop as soon as the trailer hits. So what I'm going to do is go back up here under my effects control, pull that last keyframe back to right at that point of action. So it's pushing in, boom, it just stops as soon as that trailer hits my feet. So even after you've worked up a very complex mask of different layers, you can still put all that into a nest and make one single clip out of it and then add some additional elements to it. It just gives it more of a realistic feel, I think, just to add little bits of elements to wonder, wow, was that one shot or was that cinema magic trickery? How did they do all that? I wonder. That's how I put that sequence together and put it together safely. Nobody was in danger of shooting that. Pretty straightforward, but maybe a little time consuming. Not too bad for the effect that I got out of it. If you guys have any ideas on sequences to do for yourself, get out, do it, make it happen. So I'd love to see what you guys come up with. Share that with me, put that down in the comments. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button down there. If you don't like this video, hit that thumbs down button. Let me know why, put that down in the comments. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.